And out front now, Republican Senator from Kentucky and former presidential candidate Dr. Rand Paul. Senator, thank you for being with me tonight. You've said you're going to reserve judgment on Rex Tillerson's nomination for Secretary of State. What exactly do you need to find out about him?
You know, I have an open mind. I want someone who agrees with what Donald Trump said he campaigned on, and that was that regime change hasn't worked or made us safer. The Iraq War was a mistake, and that really nation building is not something we should be in the business of. And I don't know about Tillerson, so we will ask those questions. But I think those are important because if we don't learn from the mistakes of the Iraq War, we'll continue to repeat those same mistakes. I think Donald Trump gets that, and I want his Secretary of State to also.
And you have been vocal in your criticism of that war. Obviously, ExxonMobil was able to go in after that war, but Rex Tillerson is now going to be Secretary of State as an individual in a very different role. We do know, though, the former Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice, pushed President-elect Trump on Tillerson, the former Vice President Dick Cheney, praising Tillerson as a, quote, inspired choice. Does that give you any pause? These, of course, were two of the biggest defenders of the Iraq War now supporting Tillerson.
You know, we'll have to wait and see. So I definitely will ask. The one person that has come up for Undersecretary, I know I'm opposed to, which is John Bolton, because he's still, I would call him an unrepentant supporter of the Iraq War. Tillerson, I'm agnostic. I don't know yet. And so I will ask those questions. And I think for Donald Trump's sake, he should want to pick someone who actually agrees with him and has the worldview that says maybe our interventions haven't always led to more safety or security for the United States.
You have also been very critical of Vladimir Putin. Senator, you wrote Russia's president should be isolated for his actions. You wrote this in Time. You continued to conclude with, let me be clear, if I were president, I wouldn't let Vladimir Putin get away with it. Rex Tillerson, as we all now know, is close to the Russian president. They did a major multi-billion-dollar deal together. Putin gave Tillerson Russia's Order of Friendship. Marco Rubio came out and tweeted, being a friend of Vladimir is not an attribute I am hoping for from a Secretary of State. John McCain came out and was even stronger than that. Here he is.
Anybody who's a friend of Vladimir Putin must disregard the fact that Vladimir Putin is a murderer, a thug, a KGB agent.
Are they right? Is what they're saying fit with your point of view?
Well, you know, I think that we may be overstating the friendship aspect of this. He got some award called Friendship Award or whatever. But the thing is he's the CEO of a major international company, and his job is to make deals. And I think he's made deals with 50 different countries. I don't think that means that he accepts Putin's worldview or is a supporter of what Putin has done in his country to suppress the media or invade other countries. I suspect that Donald Trump will negotiate from a position of strength in any diplomacy. But I do want a diplomat who talks. I want a diplomat who is open to negotiation. So really, that's what I'm looking for. Not someone who is going to be easy on Russia, but someone who understands the carrot and the stick approach to diplomacy. And so I think that's yet to be determined, and I'm going to keep an open mind on it.
You sit on the Foreign Relations Committee, of course, Senator. Today, your chairman, Bob Corker, said he is going to review Russia's hacking of the elections. And as you know, the president-elect says the CIA's conclusion that Russia hacked the election with the goal of helping him win is false. He has been categorical about that. Here he is.
I think it's ridiculous. I think it's just another excuse. I don't believe it.
Is Senator Corker right to launch the review, or is the president-elect right that this is ridiculous?
You know, I think that we need to be aware that countries that can do cyber attacks do, and that the majority of nations that have this capability are doing that to each other as we speak. So we have to defend our country, and we have to be prepared for that. I do think, though, there's a certain amount of sour grapes in this, and people are trying to make excuses for Hillary Clinton's loss. For example, in Kentucky, 70% of Eastern Kentucky voted for Donald Trump, and I don't think it had anything to do with the Russians. It had to do with their disagreement with the regulatory war on coal that cost us 20,000 jobs. So I don't think the Russians influenced the election. They might have hacked into Hillary Clinton's email, but that kind of goes back to the point, if she'd had him on a government server, maybe they couldn't have hacked into her email. So I don't know. There's a lot of things to go around that need to be looked into, and I'm all for looking into it for our own security's sake. But I think we should let the election be over, and there's winners and losers, and let that be, and let's try to, work on some things for the betterment of the country now.
Look, you sound very gracious about Donald Trump. You're open to Rex Tillerson. You're open to his view on the CIA. But of course, Senator Paul, you and Donald Trump clashed aggressively during the campaign. Our viewers may have forgotten some of this, but I haven't, and I want to play a little bit.
First of all, Rand Paul shouldn't even be on this stage. He's number 11. He's got 1% in the polls.
He isn't a person for whom we should be showing respect. He's a person for whom we should be showing disdain.
Is Donald Trump President-elect Donald Trump someone, Senator Paul, that you are going to be able to work with now?
Well, campaigns are obviously rough and tumble, and we had our moments. But yes, I think I will be. And I worked with President Obama. I am who I am no matter whether it's a Republican president or a Democrat president. I've also vowed that I'm not voting for a Republican budget, no matter who's for it, if it never leads to balance. And that's going to happen on January 3rd when we come back here. So I am someone who represents a conservative state, a conservative position, balanced budgets, no more addition of debt, and also someone who believes in some of the things that Donald Trump has talked about in foreign policy, that we should have less intervention overseas.
All right. Thank you very much, Senator Paul. Appreciate your time tonight.
Thanks, Aaron.